Hello, Daphne here. I couldn't sit back and be a witness to what is going on in Ukraine without commenting on the human tragedy and heartbreak that is underway in that country due to the unprovoked attack by dictator and evil person Vladimir Putin. Thousands of innocent people have already lost their lives. For what? War is senseless, especially against a sovereign nation that has done absolutely nothing to provoke it. By the way, before we continue, I'd like to ask you, if you're so inclined, to subscribe to my channel here. I'd really appreciate that, and also a thumbs up would also be appreciated. I thank you for that. The invasion of Ukraine from three sides, ordered by Russian President Vladimir Putin, is the biggest assault on a European state since World War II. Watching these news reports showing people escaping from their homeland, risking their lives to live in freedom, is very simply proof that freedom is a precious commodity. All of us who live in freedom should thank our heavenly stars each and every day for the privilege and, what else do I say about it? For the good fortune that we are able to live free from oppression. The situation in Ukraine can only be described as a human tragedy. What chokes me up the most are the prolific pictures of little children holding on to the hands of their fleeing parents in the arms of mothers and fathers. And those mothers and fathers are only carrying what they can only take from their home what they can carry, nothing more. Can you imagine having to do that on a moment's notice? Leave the place where you have lived with only a few belongings because you have to escape, because your life is in danger? The images of these parents leaving with their kids and a few of their earthly possessions is totally 100% heartbreaking to me. To make matters even worse, the winter temperatures are the coldest on record. So not only are they leaving their homeland, but under the most difficult conditions, the dead of winter. Well, we have to give kudos to Ukrainian President Zelensky, who is now a wartime president. He richly deserves the international praise he is receiving for raising the spirits of his countrymen with his brave and inspiring speeches in the midst of war-torn Ukraine and the streets of Kiev, as well as other major cities. Zelensky asks the rhetorical question to dictator and evil Vladimir Putin. To get what? To get Ukraine? It's impossible, Zelensky said. Zelensky reiterated Ukraine's desire to join the European Union, a move EU officials have praised. That would be a really great thing if they could get in there right now, and maybe they get under the protection of NATO, assuming that the NATO countries would, maybe form an emergency session and give them instant approval to help defend the beautiful country of Ukraine from that god-awful bully Putin. Ukraine formally signed an accelerated application to join the bloc days after the Russian invasion of their country began. As I write this, Ukrainians are escaping by train, by car, or by foot in what can only be described as a very, very perilous journey. According to the United Nations Refugee Agency, nearly 400,000 people have fled their country so far, but it's estimated that more than 1 million will do so over the coming days. and weeks. A train filled with Ukrainian families, all of whom who are trying to escape their homeland, had to be diverted because a rail bridge was bombed out by the Russians, delaying the escape for hours and hours. Can you imagine the terror in the hearts of those fleeing, not knowing if they would make it to freedom on this very, very dangerous journey? From satellites, we see images of miles and miles of vehicle attempting to flee the big cities in Ukraine. Trains are packed to the max with departing citizens. And those who are living close to the border are simply grabbing their family members and walking away from their homeland into freedom of a contiguous country such as Poland, Slovakia, Romania, Hungary, and the Czech Republic. All of these countries are making preparations for these brave refugees from Ukraine. Oh, this will pull at your heartstrings because it sure pulled at mine. An interview with a Ukrainian woman was extremely poignant. She captured the uncertainty and insecurity being felt by people across her beloved country, who are now wondering how their lives could have changed so dramatically from daytime to nighttime. You wake up at 5 a.m. to a totally new reality, and you find out the world is no longer the safe place you had imagined. That's what she told a reporter. She continued, "It's hard to believe it's actually our neighbor doing this, because we never really believed that our neighbor can just come and just grab our land and tell us what to do. We are the independent country of Ukraine, and, I might add, we don't want to be a part of Russia or any other country." Those were her remarks as she broke down in tears. Then she went on to say, "I can't believe it's happening, really." Difficult for any of us living in freedom to feel what this lady has experienced as she is witness to these horrifying circumstances, altering her life literally overnight. Here we are in countries safe and free. Can't imagine in less than a day's time having freedom snatched away. Can you? Can you imagine that? All of a sudden you're going along in your everyday life, your everyday routine, you're with your family, you love them, you have all your meals with them. I mean, there's just nothing to worry about. I'm not saying there are no worries, but there certainly are no worries that you'll be snatched away from your present reality. In these tragic times, our thoughts are with the Ukrainian people, on all Ukrainian women, men, and children forced to live in terror, innocent and collateral victims of a war they do not understand and did not want. Those remarks were made by Romanian President Klaus Iohannis this past Thursday. As I write this post, and as I record this post, the Ukraine is frozen in horror. These devastating events underway in Europe pose a very grave threat to global peace and security. As the world watches in disbelief and in complete horror, as this human tragedy is being perpetrated by a gargantuan bully named Vladimir Putin, the most evil man on earth at the present time, in my opinion. Our hearts and prayers are with the people of Ukraine, the wonderful, special people of Ukraine, a sovereign nation that has been invaded by an enemy of the worst kind. And the lives of these amazing people, the ones that remain to fight in Ukraine, and which a lot of them have been. A lot of them are still there, like the men have been asked to remain there. And some of the older men and women have left. But one thing is for sure, this war has altered their lives. Those that are fleeing and those that are staying, their lives have literally been altered forever. May God bless the people of the sovereign nation of Ukraine.